So you found us.
What is it trying to tell us?
No strings, no catch. You own everything.
Now stay tuned to Rock Flux.
Good morning.
It's better when the singer say it than I do. Tony Caravan with you for another edition, Saturday morning edition of the morning show with Tony Caravan live here. I'm not drinking a diet soda. I'm drinking one of these juice things. This one is carrot and ginger turmeric. I'm not pushing any brand in particular. It's a vitamin E antioxidant boost. Give that a try. I felt like crap yesterday, I gotta admit it. Towards the end of the day. I thought I was getting better in the morning. I have no fever, and I took my blood pressure and heart rate. And in fact, I could do it right now. I got one of these little devices. The battery doesn't die because I've been doing it a lot lately. I was worrying if I was going to have a heart attack or a stroke. See, first I thought I had the plague. Thing you're supposed to keep it up to the level of your heart. That's the device, like squeezing my arm. And now it's checking my heart rate.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
And, well, let's see if you can see that. 108/66 with a heart rate of 59. No irregular heartbeat. Now that seems like kind of low, actually. But I've always been a low heart rate person. But according to the chart, 108/68 or whatever falls within, I don't know if you can see this either. Let's see if I can get a reflection there. Just the right way. It falls within the green zone of ideal heart. So, took my temperature this morning and for the past couple days, and it's been like 98.2 or whatever. When I first got the thermometer in the mail, it was like 98.6. It was right on. But I'm always a few, fractions of a point under. So that corresponds with what usually happens when I've gone to the doctor. So I don't have a temperature. My blood pressure seems normal. My heart rate, 59. That's not bad, I'm no spring chicken. But, I've had these of course, I just got up. It's 5:02 here in the mid-Atlantic states of the United States. And today is February 27th, and there's a full moon out there. So if you look wherever you are into the sky and it's not cloudy, you will see a full moon. And I believe it seemed here anyway that the angle of the moon was kind of somewhat a little bit lower in the sky, which means that, it's called the snow moon right now. So the moon will appear even bigger because, the lower the moon is, when it's high in the sky, there's no point of reference, to scale it, with. But when it's lower in the sky, you can usually see another object or tops of trees or something like that. And so you see in perspective the idea that, the moon's, it's pretty big. It's a big thing. Anyway, hopefully this will prevent me from having to use the handkerchief too much. So I don't know what to do. I've had some, I've had my face felt weird. Like at one point I thought I almost was going to have a stroke or something. I'm just adjusting my chair. And, or like my circulation wasn't right. I mean, I wasn't tingling, but I mean, I was just felt weird. Had some pains, particularly my lower abdomen, sometimes over there. But I'm not really, and I don't really have shortness of breath. I mean, you can hear me breathing because I'm moving around like a maniac this morning to get this. But I mean, I don't have. I woke up the usual 2 times, which is the way it seems to be now. So I don't know what to say.
Good morning.
I mean, it's just, it's crazy with this plague. I mean, they're insane out there, like the card says on my thing.
Weekend weather.
For people in my neck of the woods, and that's pretty much, like I say, the mid-Atlantic states, it's currently 36 degrees at 5:03 a.m. It's looking like it's going to get up into 50s today, low 50s. 37 on the overnight, and Sunday, 100% chance of rain, 50 degrees, 37 overnight. And then Monday, we're going to get back into the highs being in 40s and a low being 16. Then by Tuesday, back down to 37 and 27 overnight. Maybe Wednesday, it's going to get back up into the high 40s. We'll have to see. They're not really good at forecasting the weather anymore. It's like, do you ever notice in the old days? I've talked about this, many times, but I have so many blogs now. I can't tell if I talked about it fairly recently or whether it was something I talked about a couple of years ago. Like I said, I'm the original blogger. I have shows that go back so long that it's just hard to believe. I once did a song about the weather, but if I play it, I'll get a copyright strike for my own music. And it's kind of a neat one too. And that's their thing now. What they want to do is they want to force you into a copyright, some kind of copyright thing, and then somehow strike you, and then it's in their terms of service. So they want to have a justification for banning people. I don't know. We live in a time that the powers that be, as they say, are so paranoid, and if not paranoid, so determined, so hell-bent would be the better word, to implement their vision, their changes to create this insane world that they feel they must bring in this neo-feudalism, great reset, whatever it is, that we're somehow caught. I'm trying to see if I up this interface further, that it might give you the sense that I'm looking more at you than staring down at the screen. We'll see if that. Yeah, I mean, I'm almost looking a little bit more at you. I've talked about this once before. I keep saying that, but I mean, I talked about everything before, but it all bears repeating, and I've said that before too. That all the thousands and thousands of people involved in creating all of these GUIs, which is a graphic user interface, that they don't seem to have this sense of as you would with an engineering a product that a person would use with their hands, say, the idea of ergonomics. And so I don't know what this would be, what you would call it in terms of a visual, ergonomics. But there, the thought hasn't gone into that because just think about it right now. You've got all these people out of work who are apparently using these Zoom meetings, right? So that's how they're doing. And you have people who use Skype, right? Have been using Skype for years. And then you've got Apple's FaceTime, right? And of course you have YouTube. And what I'm doing here is nothing unique. I may have been doing this kind of thing for 25 years before anybody even thought about it. And before YouTube even exists, I was using the old QuickTime and making videos and then posting them on my own server. But whatever the case is, you'd think these companies that are raking in billions of dollars and have thousands and thousands of employees and literally teams on doing this, like where's the algorithm or the people who are, throttling my video, my views, keeping this thing hidden? Are you listening to me? Why don't you, if you keep throttling me, if that makes you happy, but why don't you improve? Why don't you work one day and improve the setup? It's totally doable. It's just in other words, with software and just going through settings and permissions, you could easily have the camera. You could have a button, so-called button put on this on this GUI that says, insert picture or split screen picture in picture, which would basically allow the camera, allow the signal from the camera to be diverted or blocked temporarily, and that the signal that what's coming from the camera come from an image that was you placed there, insert image, whatever, select, whatever, choose, these words that they have on these various finder or file requests. It's not complicated. It's software. Doesn't even the computer companies don't even have to necessarily agree with it. But they don't do that, and part of the thing is I'm wondering if they don't want you looking see, if I have to look up, they don't want you maybe they don't want us looking at each other in the face, eye to eye, right? Because it's a chore to look up, and it's not unnatural too. That's not how you would talk to somebody, by going like that, you see. And I have everything on my monitor pushed way up to the top to put my head my eyes as close as I can to that. And so maybe that's the whole thing with the mask and social distancing and all this other hogwash, that there's this somehow dehumanize us as much as possible and dehumanize society as much as possible. Eliminate the social experience, the true social experience. But like the Patriot Act, give it a name, call it social, distancing, or, use the word that you're destroying, the thing that you're destroying in the thing that you're using to destroy the thing, the word. There's nothing patriotic about the Patriot Act, and there's certainly nothing social about social distancing. Just like there's nothing social about social media. It's not social. Social, is getting together in person. So anyway, that's that. I had tried some of this yesterday. These juices that they just infuse with all this stuff. This one had apparently 9 carrots, ginger, turmeric, and lemon in it. Vitamin A, 200 or I think it's 290%, and potassium 30% of their value. Used to be a guy named Jack Lalanne. I remember his son used to tend bar at some place, some pier. There was a bar on the pier, Alice's Restaurant. I know you're not listening, Johnny, but you're a good bartender. But anyway, Jack Lalanne was a famous guy back in the 60s and 70s and on through. And later in life, he was pushing juicers. It was this. He used to teach women exercises. He used to have one of those daily shows. He that weirdo guy. I can't think of his name offhand. And why tax the brain? I mean, there were other people that came along later on, but there was some goofy guy who did it, tried to be the exercise show, and was on TV in, I guess, the 80s. And of course, Suzanne Summers, I think she did a lot of videos. So did Jane Fonda. But, these exercise people, well, he was like the original guy. I guess he's the guy who invented that kind of thing. And he had all these exercises. And later on in life, he got into juicing. He swore by it. He lived, and he was like right into his like 80s or however old he was. Yeah, he was in perfect shape. Of course, he lived in Malibu. I lived in Malibu. And it's like that lifestyle out there. It's like, what can you say? It's like one of the best places to live, It's beautiful weather most of the time. At the time when I lived there, it was just really cool. The whole California laid back idea was still there. It was still like that. And it was just fun. And going out was fun. And, I don't know, everybody's friendly and all that stuff. I have no idea. It's been, I left California like well over 25 years ago. So I came back east. I'm originally from the east, not here where I am now, in the secret fortress of solitude, which is kind of the theme of today's show. Though I do want to remind you of our sponsor, which is GreatSolarStuff.com. You see how the screen is split right now? That's what I'm talking about, what they should be able to do. You should be able to hit a thing that says picture in picture, and then I should be able to place or choose, select, whatever you want to call it, an image and have it fill this spot. And that way, if I were talking about Jack Lalanne, for example, I could have put a picture of Jack Lalanne from the old exercise show there, you see? Or I could have put a picture of Malibu, right? In this case, I'm putting a picture of Great Solar Stuff. I'm just resetting this site up. I've owned this for 15, 20 years. I used to own about 60 websites. Now, you're all welcome to support. I don't monetize this. And to be honest with you, nobody's buying my book. Nobody's listening to my music, and nobody's buying my t-shirts. So if you go to TonyCaravanLive.com, help support the channel, because you can see the numbers, and hit like, and I don't know, it's all going on. But anyway, you all know the stuff that just happened down in like Texas and other places, and it happened all over the world, over in Germany. The problem with the grid, in this case, it was cold weather that froze the pipelines, froze the windmills, so there's nothing that can escape, Mother Nature, so to speak. But there is no alternative energy, green energy, that's going to save the day. And in fact, fossil fuels in many ways, are our best bet in some instances. But now, one of the things that I'm pushing over there right now is this. And what this is if you can see this, and I got it in this glossy paper so it doesn't flop all over the place. But that thing in the foreground is the best way to envision it, because the first versions of these came out. It literally was like a battery, like a car battery encased in plastic. But now this thing, as far as I know, these are lithium which is a much better battery. So like what's in a Tesla car, for example. But anyway, I tried to take this closer, but I really don't think I can get, it's going to show you what I really wanted to show you, but maybe you can, there. I'll see if I can do this without causing too much craziness. You see right here, these things, those are actual outlets. In other words, an outlet that you can plug, take any household appliance and just plug into. And then over here are like USB ports. So you can plug in, charge your cell phone, laptop, devices. And then in the background are these foldable solar panels. In other words, and if you look closely, there's like and again, sorry for the glare and moving around, but that's like a handle. So when this thing folds in half, you can, you carry it. And so this is something, it's portable. And you can go wherever you want to. And I also sell one of those portable solar panels individually. Like you could buy that thing that you carry with the outlets on it by itself. Or you could get a kit, you could buy the whole kit and caboodle with a couple of solar panels for, if you got money to spend. But, you could buy one of those lower wattage for several $100s, and you can buy a solar panel a basic solar panel for $700. Excuse me. And the thing is, and this isn't just like a commercial or infomercial. This has to do with survival. I mean, people basically lost their power for like a week or two. And it happens all the time with storms in the summertime too. Or when just, like I say, a car hits a pole, a transformer blows up or something like that. I mean, our grid is in really bad shape. And so you can charge this in your house by just plugging it in and keeping it ready anytime you need it. And then it's good. And so you'll be able to keep certain devices on, turn on, if you're a TV type person, you'd be able to plug your cable box and your TV into it and see what's going on, or charge your laptop and your modem, have your modem plugged in and your laptop. But if you have a cell phone, you just charge your cell phone. And then you could have at nighttime, you could plug in a lamp, a light, so you can see what the heck's going on in your house, not be in darkness. Or use your cell phone as a hotspot and plug in your laptop or desktop computer and watch a Netflix movie, assuming because Netflix is beaming down from some satellite somewhere. So anyway, these things are good to have, and I bought the first one like 10 years ago, like the first version. It was a different company. This one is, so go to greatsolarstuff.com and check it out. And I'll be adding some more stuff there. I was going to put up these portable propane heaters. They used to call them like Mr. Heater. And that was a thing about this big. And you got those little smaller canisters of propane. But here's another thing that just gets me. I didn't list them. So I was looking, this stuff I have through an Amazon deal. I might make $1 or $2 commission on it, but you don't pay any more by going through me. And, and it supports the channel. I turn you on to something. The least you can do is buy through my link, right? I mean, I don't know. It seems to me logical. But, I'll list it here. Solarstuff.com. And you can get it at Tony Caravan live.com too. But anyway, so the price of these Mr. Heaters, you used to be able to buy them for like $29.95, and the canisters, they were like $5 or less. I don't know. At one point they were like 2 for $5 or something like that, but then they went up to like $5. But still, all in all, I used to have this basement in another building where I lived, where we had this little bar in the wintertime, even though our bedrooms and stuff were heated, to where this bar was, we had a tile floor, and it was like we had double sliding doors toward the back. It's hard to describe. Again, if they had a better interface, I'd put a picture of the room, because I do have a picture of it. Found like I print out everything. It's crazy. It's, the way they set this up. So I used to put one of those things on the floor, and we used to, hang out in that bar for hours upon hours. I mean, and on one canister, and it would heat that whole room. It would get warm. And, if you were using, and it's approved for house use, it's not like a dangerous thing. But I saw the price. They were selling these things for like $134 or something like that. They're just taking advantage of people. I mean, excuse me. Price gouging is what they call it. And there used to be, when the government, you pay taxes, there used to be the Federal Trade Commission and various agencies. That's the kind of stuff they used to deal with, instead of just screwing people over and making sure they're protecting their, their supporters, or the companies that the people who used to work there went through the revolving door and are now working there. So they're worried about making sure that they're protecting, and those companies are getting making the highest profit. Anyway, that's that. And the reason I bring that up, and the reason I added them technically as a sponsor, there's my book, by the way, Codex, which is for sale on Amazon.com in book print. Though you can get it for Kindle, but I recommend getting the book. Just so much better. You have it, especially when what we're about to get into, in a grid down situation or something like that. What are you going to do? You got no power. But it's also available on Apple Books. If you must, It's the same with my music. It's available everywhere on Spotify. And if you do go to Spotify, for some reason, I did this album, which I talked about a while back, called the 8 tracks, because it was 8 tracks. It was my first album. And it's a while back. And there's 2 tracks on there that are good. One is EWIK. Everything You Know Is Wrong. The initials for that. And the other one is the worst Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa song ever written or sung, which is like kind of a cult classic, but it's it's somewhat comical, but it's it deals with this dystopian nonsense, the absurdity of everything that's going on. I mean, there's a couple of the tracks that for some reason I saw that some people had put in their playlist or something, but I don't get a lot of airplay. But that's at the top, and it's no wonder I don't get a lot of airplay, because the thing is, it was my first album. It was an experiment. I was just getting my my feet wet and the whole thing of independent, of writing, playing all the instruments, recording it, multi-track, engineering, producing, mastering, and then getting it so that it could be going through the process of, publishing the songs and then having them available so they were available all over the place. It's a process. I mean, that's why they have, record companies and publishing companies and managers and, press agents and all these people, doing this for people. Pardon me. Carrot juice on my mustache. And so, it was pretty much a heavy duty task. but it's not the greatest stuff, and I openly admit it. But it was an exercise. I did it, and I printed a bunch of these. In fact, I still have a stack of them, and I'd sell them to people for $1, but the shipping would probably cost $8 or something. That's another thing. Amazon ships stuff for free, and if you want to send something to somebody through one of these priority mail things or something like that, they charge you $8 for the smallest box they got. But to make a long story longer, since then I've written 50 songs, and there's at least, I would say, at least close to a dozen out of the latter 36 songs that are really good tunes. I mean, they're in my playlist when I sit down and listen to music and stuff like that. I actually enjoy listening to them. So if you go to Spotify, don't get stuck on that 8-track, those 8 tracks, go further down, dig deeper into the Tony Caravan library and listen to stuff. If you like the traditional, because I could probably give you, without getting a strike, I could probably play a second or two of some of these things. But if you like this kind of traditional sound, did you get enough of that? Or, that kind of thing. I've got a number of those like real beat poetry tracks. So I've got some of those. But then I also have, things that are just, just far out, really, I don't know how else to describe them other than they're just really good. They're just good tunes. They could be played on any radio station.
Good morning.
So let's move on to something else. So, when you look at the graphic, the title graphic, they're insane. And I was watching, like I said, I wasn't feeling good, late yesterday. I mean, I went to bed by 7. Of course, I woke up today at like 3:34. It's like 5:29 now. And so I was just like flipping around YouTube because I don't have TV. And I was just, going down the rabbit hole, watching, some people talk about different things. And I'm just finding there's a lot more recent, not talking about old stuff, because there's always been people on YouTube, talking about, end times, prepping, this whole idea, tying things into biblical or ancient Native American prophecies, all that kind of thing. And, and all that stuff, which is basically almost invisible to, I don't know, 90+% of the American public, because nobody really goes beyond, knows anything about anything that's happened before they were born, it seems. I saw a guy yesterday, he was talking about something completely different, actually copyright strikes. But he was trying to explain, he does these things about music and it turns people on to old songs. And he was going, I don't even know. He got a copyright strike, and you get 3 strikes and you're out, and you're kicked off YouTube. The guy's got, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of followers. But, his point was that, why do I do it? Because half these people listening don't, they don't know these songs and they don't care to know about them. They don't know, and that's this whole idea of what we're going through right now. And I think it's one of the reasons why we're in a situation where how dystopia was able to set in, and how things change so quickly. And I'm not talking, I don't want, this isn't political. As one of these other people said, it's part of, it's in the mix, or it's a contributing factor, or, it's an element thereof, whatever, politics, like what I call politics as pop culture has become the new pop culture. But that's not it. It's not politics. It's not about politics, because politicians aren't that important. And this is a recurring theme on my morning shows. And what I was trying to get at is that if we don't understand, if we're not willing to even entertain alternative ideas, or if we're not willing to look for the truth, in other words, what really did happen, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, or what about 10,000 years ago, or 2,000 years ago, or 6,000 years ago? There were all these civilizations on this planet, and they all left information. And, in recent years, there were times when you had, in the great era of exploration, there were these people who went out and they found these sites, and they had these archaeological digs, and they were, they were the, what's the guy's name? The Indiana Jones. The mind is failing. Maybe that's the problem. The Indiana Jones of their era, their time. And that was a big thing. And then, and people would, because people read, that was like, radio was just coming in to being, but hadn't really, hadn't really taken over. And at least the entertainment part of it hadn't like come to take over. The fantasy aspect was more matter of factual and just reporting news. This is such and such reporting live from, wherever. There's a unbelievable thing going on here right now. But so people read, people had encyclopedias in their house, or they went to the library and read books, or in school they were actually taught things, and used to have to carry books to and from school, like a lot of books, and they were heavy books, and they were thick books. Not to say that they were the greatest, even in my day, but I'm talking about before, going back. The further back you go, because those books were, were the history of the world, the history of Western civilization, the history of empires, what happened, real, geography, that kind of stuff. Great minds, writers, even poets and stuff like that. Art history, so-called coffee table books with prints, large prints of classic Renaissance paintings, the great masters, leading up to into the 20th century. And so people were more knowledgeable, in the days when, like, even the New York Times was a paper where you could actually learn something by reading it. It wasn't just some kind of politics. It wasn't politics. Politics would come up every now and then, near election time or something, or if something weird happened, or if there was, during the war years or something. But we've gone way beyond that. We're in very strange territory now. We're out in the deep end. And it's like, I forget who said it. We're up the legendary tributary without a paddle, or without any means of transportation, something like that. This is dystopia. This is what it looks like. And you may look around and say, well, I don't know, wherever you are, and say, I don't know, I got everything I need. Everything's cool. But you're not in Texas, or you weren't in Texas like a couple of weeks ago, when suddenly everything, you look around and say, I got everything I need. And then you suddenly find yourself with no power and no heat, right? And your pipes are frozen, which means you don't have use of toilets. You're freezing to death. You can't use the bathroom. You can't wash yourself. You have no lights. You have nothing. You're basically a caveman or woman. And you go into your $30,000 to $60,000 SUV, and you sit in there and you turn it on, get that heated up, and listen, and maybe charge your iPhone so you could quick reconnect and text somebody, or you get to check your email. If the cell towers were still working, I don't know if anybody was talking about that. They probably were. Or listening to music. And now, I'm back to civilization. I'm warm. I'm surrounded by technology. My phone, like I always do. Me precious. Me precious. I have me precious is back. Well, what are you going to do when you don't have me precious? The Black Mirror. What do you do when you don't have that Black Mirror anymore? Are you ready? Are you prepared for that? Yeah. And, I'm not talking like prepping in that sense. I mean, they had rolling blackouts in California last month, was it? This stuff happens. It's like every time there's either a storm or some type of energy or politically motivated, like these brownouts and rolling blackouts, because that was just in California, that was unnecessary. They're just people playing games with people. Then it's over, and then it's just people, well, I don't want to think about that anymore. I don't want to go there. As if it's never going to happen again. It's crazy. And that's what being prepared is about. In other words, it's being prepared for a tornado, a hurricane, a simple power outage caused by a car accident where a car hits a pole or a power station. Sometimes these transformers get overloaded. I had that happen to me a couple of times in two different towns where the power was out like for almost 24 hours or more. And, the radio stations are all like what they call satellite radio stations now. So when you turn on, if you have a portable radio, most people don't have them. I have one here somewhere. I had it. Yeah. Yeah. You gotta download the app. Listen. It's a station that's about I don't know, a couple 100 miles from me. They have a converter here. But see, radio. That happens to be a classical station that I turn on sometimes. And they have what they call a translator. So there's an antenna near where I am so that they boost the signal. That station originates in Pittsburgh. I'm in the mid-Atlantic region. And so even though I'm hours, to drive to Pittsburgh would take me a couple hours, I can pick up that radio. And that was the beauty of radio. Why? And I'm, of course, I'm a radio guy from when I was a kid. But most stations you turn on in one of these power out situations, and they're pre-programmed pulling in a satellite feed from somewhere, and they don't even have a person like me next to a microphone that could come on and tell you what's going on. And even if they did, that the person is unlikely to know what's going on. So it's a sorry state of affairs. When you can't count on that either. It's like, and they have these weather radios, NOAA weather radios. But let's get back into the idea of as society and civilization falls apart. So, yeah, it's bad enough when there's an accident or a storm and you lose power. Well, when that happens, you can do something like this. And you're a fool if you don't have something like this. Okay? Literally, you're a fool. And that's why I put this up. It's like my mission here is service to others instead of service to self. I'm not monetized on this channel. All right? And I'm pretty much throttled. As you can look at the views. It's like no way. No way I get one person watching, 2 people watching, 7 people watching. You believe that? How do they do that? There's a thing at the bottom, at least on my YouTube, that has live. And when people are live and there's things, and I've already gone through, and there's not even always that many people live. And there's people that are into checking out live stuff. So they must have blocked me from putting me on the live, like even listing me on live. Because they don't want you to know this stuff. They don't want you to basically understand what's going on. The insanity of it. This great reset, this World Economic Forum. You will own nothing and you will be happy. Right? An actual like promotional commercial that they are running with some goofy, clip art guy, soy boy smiling, sickly smiling. And as at least many people have already jumped into, have said, well, who's going to own everything then? Yeah, the people in the World Economic Forum, the Davos set, right? Big tech, they're going to own everything. Big ag. I saw an expose on Bill Gates yesterday where he is like bought up all this farmland. He's like the largest single individual owner of farmland in the U.S., 4th largest, richest man in the world, and pretty much detested in countries in Africa and places like that where he's meddled with people, even in India and stuff. And this guy's like, all he does is promote depopulation and inoculations. And everything he does, he has a financial interest in it. I tried to explain this once before. People don't understand. They think these people are, they have foundations, so they think that they're like these generous people who are giving. What happens is they set up a foundation and they donate so many millions of dollars to something, or some country, some thing, some group. But then they have an interest in some NGO, which is a non-government organization, or some company that will implement what they donated that money for. So by say some billionaire gives $100 million donation, right, through a foundation, some 501c type of idea, is able to write off $100 million tax write-off instead of giving that to, like we have to pay taxes. If we like, you win the lottery, half that money you end up giving to the federal government, state and federal government, they take their taxes. But these guys, they write this off, they give it out, and everybody looks at them and go, wow, what a generous man to give all this money to save these poor children somewhere in Africa or something. But what they don't understand is that he has an interest in how that money's spent, because he has an interest in the companies that end up getting that money to implement whatever's being implemented. And whatever's being implemented is on the profit motivation. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that goes on. I'm not being specific there, so you investigate yourself and look into it. But I've seen too many of the coverage of this kind of stuff. And let somebody who wants to point a finger or defend these people, let the media look into that and see what's going on. There's too many of these so-called, generous, people and foundations out there. And these guys seem to be becoming richer and richer every year. Well, if you're giving away all your money, nah. They've got a plan for the world, and the world is depopulation. That's their number one goal. The number one goal is depopulation. The number two goal, for some warped reason, and I don't know how that's tied into depopulation, if it just means to freeze us to death or whatever, is this fake climate thing. The idea that we don't need to have these organic fossil fuels. Yes, I said organic. They come from the earth. That CO2, one of the most important gases, should say, in our atmosphere. That's only 0.004% of our atmosphere, by the way, but is responsible for us having a green planet, right? That's why trees grow, crops yield, and the grass grows and flowers grow. And all of them give off oxygen that we breathe and other animals breathe. And it's funny that it's just like the Patriot Act, and like all these other things. They call this the Green New Deal. But what they're going after is the thing that makes the planet green, and that's CO2. I've never heard anybody else say that. But the planet would not be green if we didn't have CO2. And we don't have too much CO2. Because again, the people who are holding up these placards or making these little cardboard signs with magic markers, they don't know anything that happened before they were born. It's like I say, the storm of the century, or it snows a lot. And they said, oh, we haven't seen snow like this in 30 years. Yeah, since 30 years. Oh, we haven't seen snow like this in 50 years. All the better. But it happened 50 years ago. We were buried under snow 50 years ago when I was a kid. There was a hell of a virus in the U.S. in 1957. Most people don't even know that happened. Hundreds of thousands of deaths. People don't know history. They don't know history. They know nothing other than what they hear a newsreader in their 20s or 30s say. And if you were 20 or 30, you were born in a time where history was already erased. History was already revised. You were born in a homogenized society where everything's the same. right? Where politics became pop culture and individuals, were worshipped. People, humans, the cult of personality. That's right, the cult of personality. And that's the era that we've had over the past several decades. So, unless you're willing to open your mind and understand that dystopia is here, Western civilization has fallen, and that America is just the states. There is no United States of America. It's not united, and it will never be reunited, right? Red states, blue states, California versus Florida. Come on, be real. New York, Florida, Texas, no. Chicago or Illinois versus. No. So that is the end of the union, so to speak. All right. And anyone who holds out hope, and that's through the cult of personality, as if someone's going to bring that back and save it, didn't watch what just occurred over the past 30 some odd days, or with the stroke of a pen and a stack of executive orders, everything the previous person did is erased. You see? Oh, someone could come in 4 years from now and start rebuilding the wall that's being wrecked, or tearing down the wall that's and barbed wire that's like covering Washington, D.C. No, with every administration, so to speak, it just keeps getting further down and down and down. And what it all boils down to is your life better today than it was yesterday? And if the answer is no, the question you have to ask yourself is why? And if that answer is because of a politician, you have a problem. You have a mental problem. Because, put it this way, what if you were like me, you got rid of your TV, direct TV, back in November or October or whatever it was, and you never turned it on? What if you didn't know who won the election or lost the election? Okay. You didn't hear any daily politics, any, you didn't know there were no cult of personality, no politics, wasn't pop culture. You were listening to music. Say it was summertime. You were spending time out in your yard, or going fishing or swimming or playing or doing whatever you do. Listening to music, making love, cooking food, walking your dog, whatever. I don't know. Life goes on. Yeah, they're forcing people to wear masks right now. It's an insane thing. That's why I say in my title card, they're insane. But, you deal with it. You deal with them. You have to. What are you going to do? They're insane. But your life is your own. That's the whole thing. And you have to come to that realization that your life is your own. And you need to take steps in your life that will guarantee that your life remains your own, and that you don't put your life in the hands of government or a cult of personality, a person, a politician, right? A political party, a news reader. You see? An ideology. Get yourself, if you don't have your own house, buy one. And you say, I can't afford to buy a house. I bought one for $15,000 and I didn't pay cash. I have a mortgage. buy a cheap house. My taxes, mortgage, and insurance are less than $200 a month. Think about that. You can't even find a rent that cheap. And I'm not in the ghetto. Okay? There's houses out there. Some of them are what they call fixer-uppers. Mine's a fixer-upper. I need a new roof, technically. But I'm not fixing it. I'm not going to spend $15,000 on a brand new roof. I have a couple of leaks. I've been like patching it from the inside because I can't get that high up. So I've been using it's interesting. Maybe sometime I'll do a video about that when the weather gets warmer and show what I'm doing. And then I put cat litter boxes underneath in case it would leak through this patching a roof from the inside out. Yeah. But the point is, it's just shelter. The only thing you need as a human being, I say this all the time too, is food, is to eat. You have to hydrate yourself. Eat, meaning consume food and water. And I grow a garden out back in this tiny plot of land I have. It's about 19 feet wide, but it's about 100 feet long. And I have a garden. It's south facing. So if you want to look for a piece of property, who cares what it looks like? You'd be surprised what you could do with paint, some cheap wood and nails, and a cheap bag of mortar, and cement to get something. You have to live, this whole idea of living in some sort of rectangular aluminum sided house in a cookie cutter neighborhood is ridiculous. And the 2-car garage. That's a garage way in the back. And I have a detached garage at the end of my yard that I could put a car in, but I got rid of my car. I don't have a car now because I didn't use it that much. So I'm like, why should I pay, have a car payment, or even if I own the car outright, insurance payment, maintenance payments, the car inevitably breaks down. You're going to have to get new tires or fix the brakes, get an oil change, or maybe eventually get a new car. Why should I worry about all those expenses when all I do is once or twice a month have to, pick up something, get some groceries or something like that? Now, where I am, I could walk. It's like a mile walk, and it's a pain carrying bigger items like toilet paper or something like that, hiking up the street, back up the street with some big bags of that kind of thing. But I do it. I just go early in the morning. So why have a car? If I have an appointment or a doctor's appointment, you could get these med vans, you could get rides. Or if you're in other areas, you just can get, even here, I think that because I walk down the street and I see just even a half a block from me, there's some car that I pass walking towards the grocery store. And I notice he has an Uber sticker on it. I think Uber or Lyft or something like that. So it's way cheaper, to just ditch it, and just live. And when your mortgage, insurance, and taxes are only $200, you get rid of your TV. Who needs it? You happen to have the internet service because everything comes over here. YouTube is TV. And then there's some utilities you got to pay. And there's ways of getting discounted utilities. You can survive on a very, very minimal amount of money. Very minimal amount of money. And that's all it's about, is living. You just got to be able to live. And that's my goal. I currently get rainwater. I catch rainwater. But I use that to water my garden. But in this year, I think I'm going to try to get rainwater so I can have extra water to drink. Put some extra filtration, try to figure that out. And I'm trying to get being able to grow indoors more. Right now, I can produce enough food for about 7, 8 months. But I want to be able to produce enough food that I could, if I needed to, I could live on year round. And I've got my property, my house. And, and I want to get, have some solar capability and some backup power capability, that sort of thing. And I guess if the grid completely went down, you could always dig yourself an outhouse. As weird as it may sound, as bizarre as it may be. But, and I don't live out in the country. I live in a neighborhood. It's weird. I just live I'm on the outskirts of town. It's like, if you go, I'm not the right at the very end of town, but if you go, a couple miles, then you hit highway. But that's, you can do that. People should do that. People should get out of the cities and find cheaper places to live. And, you can make money and survive through like the gig economy. I mean, the homesteaders are basically living pretty much on their own completely. But I'm not I wouldn't consider myself a homesteader. I just consider myself somebody who's living cheap, But I'm living well, well as I can be. I mean, my biggest issue right now is my health. And, I'm kind of tired. It's the morning. I didn't do the caffeine thing, which has been a habit. But, I'm surviving. And I'll see how I make it through this weekend. I know I don't have the plague because I just don't have any of those symptoms. So, I'm not coughing. I don't have a fever. Don't have a headache. That kind of stuff. And, I don't think I'm having a heart attack or a stroke because I don't know. My blood pressure's normal. My heart rate's normal. So, who knows? But, those are the things you got to worry about too, is your health. And, and apparently, putting your faith in government for health hasn't worked out too well. Now, has it? We're into the second year of this plague. And it's like a circus. Nobody knows what to believe. I was flipping around last night. There was doctors. The one doctor talking about taking a shot and the second shot, what his, 3 days of agony that he went through, but that was good because he knew his immune system was working. And I watched another podcast, some doctor saying, yeah, take the thing, but there were these anomalous cases of some kind of this, that, the other, in the people who were originally in the tests, but they just chalked it off to anomalies. And someone saying, yeah, but we don't know what the repercussions will be several years down the road, or even a year down the road. People are just getting these shots in the past couple of months. So, you don't know what, and then you have people saying, in England, I saw a study where they said they were trying to say, because people wash their hands in the UK, that there was 0 cases of the flu this year. And they were touting it in their press as like a success case. Like, see what we did? By getting people to wash their hands, there was no flu this year at all. 0 cases of the flu reported. But there's cases of the plague. I mean, you understand what's going on with that, right? I'm going to have to like spell that out for you. So we don't know what to believe, you know? I don't know why I'm sick. You know, are there other things out there? You know, what's going on? You know, why are they pushing all this crazy stuff? You know, like there's a lot of this disinformation stuff. Have you seen the UFO stuff that they're trying to push out now? Like all these diversionary things that are going on. And, you know, to keep people like diverted from thinking rationally. And so my attitude on this whole thing is that, excuse me, is that you just got to look inward. You got to look at yourself, look at your life, look at the people around you, look at, you know, what are your goals? What do you want? What kind of lifestyle do you want to have? What's important to you? And put things in place so that you can maintain that lifestyle. And that doesn't mean, you know, lifestyles of the rich and famous. That means realistically, what makes you happy? And I wrote about this many times in the past, the distant past. But I used to say, if you think of the times when you were the most happy, and these, you know, go back through your life, even back through childhood. Or if you're a parent, maybe look at a child, think back at a child. And you see a child like sitting on a living room floor or a kitchen floor while a mother is washing the dishes or something. And the child is banging two pots and pans together, making a noise, you know, laughing and giggling. Yeah, that's happiness, you know. Or playing with some, you know, or out in the backyard while the father's off in the distance mowing a lawn or trimming some, you know, hedges or something way back. The kid's sitting on the patio and is like digging with the stick in the dirt or doing something, or, you know, running after an ant and giggling. You know, that's happiness. Or like the first time you were in love, and, you know, and whether or not you made love or, you know, just made out with some girl, or, and you're just kicking back or arm in arm, laying back somewhere outside, looking up at the stars, or, you know, or just in bed or something. And just that feeling of like, there you are, naked to the world, or without any material thing. And you're truly at peace, stress-free, and happy. Happy as that child just playing with sticks in the dirt, or, you know, or something like that. And, you know, there's other times like that, you know, perhaps maybe, you know, depending on your individuality, because we find, I always talk about truth and beauty. There's certain things that give us enjoyment, and not everything applies to everyone because we're different. That's the beauty of us all. That's why this whole idea, this homogenized society, what they're trying to do is so wrong. Some people might enjoy, there's a full moon out there right now. Okay. A beautiful big full moon. Excuse me. In most parts of the United States, it's still dark. So you can see this, what they call a snow moon. And it's lower in the sky, I think, in most areas. It should be. And you can just sit there, and it's not even that cold out there. Not, you know, it's not frigid. You put a coat on and you could sit there and look at the moon. You know, people could watch the sunrise, the sunset. I was always a person who just loved the ocean because I spent a lot of time on the coasts, both coasts. And I could just sit there and watch the waves break, you know, for an hour. And that was I'm totally at peace. No music on, no materialistic thing, no electronics, no technology. You know, some people could look at a painting and be taken away, or read a book, print, and be off in the distance. No technology, no Kindle, no smartphone, anything like that. And so what I'm saying is that if you really think about, and it's not against, so what you have, let's replace the book with a Kindle. Okay. And let's look at the Van Gogh on a big screen TV and scroll through a photo gallery. Okay. So I don't want to be a Luddite and pretend technology is not the thing. But what I'm trying to say is that any of those things, all right, that the truth and beauty, and truth meaning like pure truth as in love, art, philosophy, poetry, the greatest things that humans have, the enlightenment, have achieved in an enlightened state, put it that way. Religious experience for many people. So that you could be truly happy. And so that's all you have to do. You have 5 senses: your eyes, ears, smell, taste, and feel. None of those things need to be hooked up to some Elon Musk, Neuralink, or some Ray Kurzweil, connection to a computer. All right. Google DeepMind project. None of that. And like I say, assuming all your faculties work. Some people don't. Some people are handicapped. But assuming, whatever working, senses you have, you can embrace someone. You can, in a hug of friendship, you can make love to someone in, in a manner of, ecstasy and pleasure. You can look at a sunset or sunrise or a painting or whatever, and have this unbelievable sensation of beauty through your eyes. Person that likes flowers or certain things can just, stick their nose right into a bouquet of flowers and get some, and just say, oh, this is intoxicating. You can listen to your favorite music, or you could just lie down like I do sometimes in the summertime on my lounge chair under the sun, soaking up the sun, getting a tan. And I have a bird feeder feeding the birds, and I have a little fountain, solar fountain, and a little mini pond I built. I mean, I'm talking mini. It's like 2 feet wide by 4 feet, but I have a little tiny little solar thing that kicks up a little spray. And listen to some birds chirping in the middle of the summer with a little bit of water bubbling with my ears. And I could grow something in my garden like a fresh tomato and some lettuce and kale and banana pepper, some oregano or parsley, whatever. I grow all that stuff. And I could bring it into the house and wash it off, put it through a strainer, chop it up, and eat it in a salad and have that flavor, that taste in my mouth. And that's life. That's living. That's what it's like to be a human being. That's how you were born, and that's what you were born to be. And while all these other things are nice, and I'm obviously in deal with the trappings of them, for crying out loud.
Good morning.
I've got audio things, I'm geeked out going into my this computer. I've got the microphone. I'm broadcasting live, you know? So it's not like I'm against it. I'm telling you, hey, you know, technology might save you, you know? So no, I'm not, you know, don't get me wrong. But the point is, those things are just extra things. And to understand previous civilizations, and sometimes people look down at previous civilizations, you know, they think, well, how, you know, it's like, no, they had everything. They had everything that you had, and they were very happy because all of those things I just mentioned prior to this, they had and did. And they had beautiful buildings. See, because that's the thing. You know, we have that capability of making things that we want and we need. And that's why I say with these old houses, you know, I have these steps. I have a porch steps that are made of concrete. But this house is like 100 years old. That's why I got it cheap. And so the concrete was starting to crack. You know, there's traffic on this road. And, you know, it was starting to look gnarly. It's a word I brought back with me from California. And, you know, I found out that if you get some mortar, a bag of mortar, you get an 80 pound bag of mortar for less than $20. You know, I still have most of it sitting in the garage. You don't need much of it. Pour a little bit of that into a, like a little paint bucket type of thing, a little bucket. Add some water. I throw in a little bit of concrete sealant, like it's a thing you use if you're going to put new concrete over old concrete to help a bond, actually concrete bonder. I just put that in, but you don't have to. And I stir that up into the consistency of paint. I get this old messed up paintbrush and just paint it on my steps every year. Because it only lasts a year. Because in the winters, I have to put rock salt on them. And the winters are pretty cruel to, and have been way before climate change. So I paint that up and the steps almost look new, you know. And, you know, and like I said, the same thing with paint. You know, I'll look at the closeouts on paint. And you could always paint, you know, so you paint those colors. So, yeah, because you could buy paint. No one charge you like $37.50 for a gallon of paint. So I'll just look at the basics. I just want white or gray or something like that. So I paint most of my foundational part of my house gray. Used to paint battleship gray, but that seems to have disappeared from the world. But fortunately, I found some cheap gray paint. I have like about 2 extra gallons of it sitting around now. Paint lasts for years too, by the way, if you keep it, as long as you don't let it get frozen and you seal it right. And white paint, you could always get white paint. So, you know, that's it. And you know how to use a hammer, a screw, you know, screw and some wood to fix things. Yeah. So I'm not creating Sistine Chapel here. All I'm trying to do is live. All I want is shelter. All I want is food, water, and shelter. And I want to be able to live the life that makes me happy. And so as you go through this, I mean, this is a long way of getting back to these insane people that are doing all this craziness. They're going to do what they're going to do. Nobody's going to stop them. All right. All right. The World Economic Forum Great Reset is happening. It's kind of happened, but it's in progress. It's like a crank, you know, they're turning that thing and it's going to get to the point and it's done. And there's not going to be somebody coming in 2024 in the United States that's going to somehow change it. We're beyond the point of no return. Okay. And if you waste the next 3 to 4 years with cardboard signs, with magic markers and banners, and sending your hard-earned money to support political causes because you think they are going to save you, save your life, and make you happy, then you are not only wasting your money that you should be buying, putting towards your house or getting a house or fixing your house or building a garden, raised beds or whatever. Get my book. I think I tell you how to make a raised bed in that. If I don't in that one, the previous book I do. Easy enough to do. This summer, that's probably what I will do. I'm going to do a series of those kinds of things once the weather warms up here. But that's like 2 months away. Don't waste your money. I did it. I gave, I supported, candidates. Excuse me. I gave to causes. I supported people. All the things that you're probably doing and that people do, hoping that somebody would, that there would be justice. But, then it all just dawned on me. Nothing, they didn't really, if it's that ephemeral, the changes that the politicians do, then it really is the corporatocracy, the people pulling the strings at the top that run this world. And they have all along. And that I was duped just like the rest of us. You just can't be that way. It's counterproductive to yourself, to your own life, and to your own happiness. There's no reason for you to be that way. So, here's my little American flag, and here's my book, But this thing here, the United States of America, it's just the states now. It's just a geographic location. And we have to learn to live here. You can't get crazy. It's not like heresy, to some people. Oh my God, you can't. How dare you? Like Greta. It's funny. People adopt the same things. No, it's just the way it is, We're a country divided, and divided we shall remain. But beyond the division is dystopia, and that the powers that be have infiltrated both political parties, or all political parties, I should say. I mentioned that yesterday. That includes the communists on the other side of the world and stuff like that. And people that are just in other countries that are have no politics, but are just, tormented by various dictators or fly-by-night people that seize power with machetes or something, and drug cartels and, all kinds of stuff like that, terrorism and, crazy zealots of some sort or another, ideologues. You have to see the world the way it really is. And you can't just put it in perspective and say, well, I want it to be the way it was. When I talk to my 87-year-old mother, we have conversations about how nice things were in the 70s and stuff like that. She talks about how nice it was even back in the 60s or the 50s. And that's true. But, from us, we don't live in that society anymore. That's gone. They've taken that from us. We live in a dystopian society right now. Things are falling apart, are crumbling around. Our infrastructure is crumbling. They're not going to rebuild it. You can't rebuild infrastructure at the same time as you're eliminating fossil fuels, because it takes heavy machinery, heavy equipment, to repair bridges and roads and do all that stuff. You see? You can't produce major amounts of crops to feed the world, which brings us back into that Bill Gates thing, without using heavy farming equipment that requires fossil fuels. Those things don't run on batteries or solar. You know, you have to go see a big farm and see what a farming harvesting operation is. See what big farming operations look like and the type of equipment that's necessary to run them. They need fuel, you see. I mean, the things that Elon Musk creates and Tesla cars and stuff, they're toys. You know what they are? They're toys for spoiled brats. You know what this whole SpaceX thing is? It's spaceships for little kids. Like, we're going to go to Mars because we have so much money we don't know what to do with. Yeah, that's what that is. That's people that have so much money they don't know what to do with it. And they say, hey, let's build a space. Let's go to space. You know, it should be just like Star Trek. I'm one of the biggest Star Trek fans in the world. Prove it to you. Hey, Scotty, beam me up. But I know that was unreal. It's not happening. Our sun is going to nova in the year 2046, probably. Won't be the end of our sun. It did it 12,068 years ago. And before that, approximately 12,000 years. It's a cyclical thing. It happens. They're near extinction events, which means we have 25 years or whatever it is. I'd like to live that long. I'd like to be around to watch a 2-mile wave come over the continent and basically say, hey, it was fun while it lasted. The earth is cooling. We're going to be experiencing crop shortages because of cooling, not climate change, global warming stuff, not CO2 related things that have to do with our sun, the magnetic fields. And these kids and these people pushing this other stuff, they just don't know because they never paid attention to it. They're not anthropologists, all right? They're not physicists. They're not, astrophysicists. They don't study the sun, all right? They're earth scientists. Maybe they're meteorologists. But you ever hear the meteorologists when they talk about the polar vortexes and stuff? They seem perplexed and befuddled. Or they call it like it's an anomaly. It's not an anomaly. It's all cyclical. They just don't get it. And that's what you have to wake up to. You got to wake up to the reality is that we're living in dystopia already. Like Lenin said, this world is run by insane people for insane reasons. I'm paraphrasing, I think. But one thing I know for sure, they're insane. And hopefully you're not. And that for all the reasons I've given, there's no reason why the rest of your life can't be happy and fulfilled. You just have to set your mind to it and realize it, that you're a human being and you're capable of living a good, happy, fulfilled life. And putting social in front of something called social media, or trying to say social distancing as if it somehow applies to social, is complete and utter nonsense. It's insanity. It's insanity. So in a world gone mad, don't get caught up in that. There's just no reason to. Anyway, I'm glad we had this discussion. I want to thank you for watching. Nobody seemed to tune in live, 6:30. I guess people had a good Friday night. I didn't. I was wondering if I would make it through the night and wake up alive.
Good morning.
But assuming I kick whatever's going on inside of me. I feel kind of okay right now. I'll probably be here tomorrow, and if not, Monday. So good luck. Support the channel, get my book, get one of my songs, t-shirts. Remember, I have those t-shirts. You go to TonyCaravanLive.com. It's in both the chat and it's listed in under the comments, probably where it says show more, or not the comments, but where it says show more. TonyCaravanLive.com. And I have Everything You Know Is Wrong. This is a classic. And of course, what you don't know, what you don't know. You can't get those shirts. I have another one. Then what? ? Some other one. St. Patrick's Day is coming up. I have My Irish Shirt, I think it's called, something like that. I almost forget what I put on that one. It's a green shirt, My Irish Shirt. Why not? So anyway, all the best. Cheers. Good luck. Hopefully some of this stuff, means something to you, maybe gave you, set off a light bulb. If it didn't, hopefully you enjoyed just spending some time with me. I enjoy doing these things. So I guess it's therapeutic in that sense for me. So I live alone with a cat. So I guess this is my way of, having conversation. It's a strange thing, the way this technology, and one of the better things, about this technology. And as I said, I'm no Luddite, I embrace technology. But I do know that the happiest moments in my life were not because of anything mechanical or material. They were real things that were involved in the 5 senses that I was born with. I hope you can see that too. So all the best. Cheers. Take care. Peace. And all that good stuff.